Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission here is, well, it's pretty simple. We take a stack of sources and we try to pull out the most essential, the most unforgettable bits of insight.
And usually that means we're digging through, dense policy papers or maybe some long-lost historical documents.
Exactly. But today we have something completely unique. We are diving into this magnificent collection of, I guess you'd call them cinematic, character-driven narratives.
All brilliantly penned by the writer Swapnil. They detail this incredibly vibrant and, I have to say, volatile domestic world of two people. Rajesh and Pooja.
And it's a fascinating challenge for us analytically.
It really is. We're treating this whole narrative, all these detailed vignettes of their marriage and their community life, not as fiction, but as pure qualitative data.
Data points.
Exactly, data point. So our deep dive is really focused on analyzing the recurring characters, the conflicts that just keep escalating, and the really precise comedic timing that defines their whole existence.
We're trying to abstract the science of it.
The science. The highly predictable yet always chaotic patterns of what makes this specific brand of, well, what Swapnil calls beautiful chaos, what makes it all work.
That's our mission today, to understand the anatomy of a domestic disaster. Because, as Swapnil illustrates so vividly, every single everyday event in this house.
Oh, it was never simple.
Never. From trying to fix a faucet to preparing for a major festival, it doesn't just happen. It becomes a spectacular, totally unforgettable theatrical performance.
And you have the two main players, Rajesh, who is the ultimate chaos magnet.
And Pooja, who is his composed, very pragmatic anchor. She runs the show, really.
And we, as the analysts, we just get to sit back and observe this dynamic. I mean, Rajesh is pure kinetic energy, an explosive element.
He's a force of nature in a tracksuit.
That's it, exactly. And Pooja, she's the containment field. She's the emotional shock absorber, constantly trying to maintain some kind of balance.
But not through control, which is impossible.
Right. Not through control, but through this kind of profound adaptation and this incredibly dry humor. So for you, the listener, this offers these really deep insights into relational resilience.
But all wrapped up in genuinely hilarious stories that are, they're anything but textbook.
Not at all.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're going to start where every great story like this begins.
With a massive failure.
An immediate massive failure that defines the protagonist's entire worldview.
So the initial scene, it just sets the chaotic baseline instantly. It all starts with a plumbing issue.
Of course it does.
Which Rajesh, who is the self-proclaimed DIY king, insists on handling himself. And this immediately results in what the source calls the sink tsunami.
And what a premiere it is. The sources describe the kitchen transforming into, like, a literal low-budget water park.
It's not just leaking.
No. The water is aggressively spraying everywhere. The countertops are rapids. Rajesh is soaked from head to toe. It's this high-energy, visceral chaos.
And yet, Rajesh is described as being utterly beaming amidst all this spray.
That beaming quality is the core data point for his character, isn't it?
It is. He doesn't see a disaster. He sees a successful, albeit unintended experiment. He's standing there dripping wet, striking this triumphant superhero pose.
A ridiculous superhero pose.
Totally ridiculous. And he proudly announces this disaster as the sink tsunami, the premier water attraction of Chowdhuryland.
He's rebranding total failure as a 5-star tourist destination. And that single detail is so crucial because it defines what Swapnil calls the Rajesh tendency.
Right.
He sees every conflict, every mishap, not as a technical failure to be fixed, but as an aquatic adventure, a competition that he naturally is winning.
Even if the prize is just a wet floor and a massive insurance claim.
Exactly. He has this unbounded, almost delusional optimism that just prevents him from ever feeling any real shame over his domestic failures.
This optimism is just critical for understanding the whole relationship dynamic. The sources give us this wonderful kind of conspiratorial glimpse into Rajesh's inner thoughts about Pooja.
Oh, I love this part.
He admits that if chaos were an Olympic sport, he'd be the gold medalist.
They would, no question.
But Pooja is the necessary counterweight. He calls her the referee with a very short fuse.
It's fascinating because he sort of half jokes that Pooja sticks around because love is blind.
But the deeper truth, which he kind of whispers to us, the reader,
is that she's staying because, and I'm quoting here, she's waiting to see what I destroy next.
Yes, which suggests their bond isn't forged despite the chaos.
It's forged because of it, because of the shared anticipation and the unique entertainment it all provides. It's a marriage built on mutual shared theater.
Precisely. Now, if Rajesh is that kinetic force, Pooja is the anchor.
Right. While he's conducting the sync tsunami, Pooja is at the stove, and she's demonstrating this unbelievable calm.
She's flipping parafas, those savory, traditional flatbreads.
And she's doing it with this methodical, almost robotic efficiency. The key detail here is that she doesn't even bother to look up at the watery disaster unfolding 3 feet away from her.
It isn't denial. It's just operational acceptance of reality.
Her response is peak deadpan humor. That's her ultimate weapon against the chaos. She immediately suggests they start a boat rental service on the side.
Or maybe use the rogue faucet spray to water the plants in the living room while we're at it. She just embraces the absurdity.
She has completely accepted that she is married to a walking disaster area, and her sanity depends on finding the funny, maybe even profitable side of every single calamity.
And the source material highlights this so beautifully by describing her as the calm eye of the storm.
It's a powerful metaphor for their partnership.
It is, and Rajesh secretly admires this quality so much. He knows her unflappable composure is the only thing keeping them grounded. He calls her quiet efficiency, an art form he can never hope to replicate.
And his adoration is entirely based on her ability to withstand him.
She's not just enduring, she's reigning over the chaos.
And just when you think the domestic chaos might stabilize, the external pressure arrives.
Enter the catalyst for community-wide chaos, Auntie Meena,
whom the writer Swapnil immediately and perfectly dubs the neighborhood's gossip ninja. She is the walking, talking embodiment of external critique.
Her introduction is just so cinematic. She doesn't just walk in through the door.
No, she storms in like a hurricane, almost skidding on the newly slick, wet kitchen floor.
And somehow, through sheer force of will, she clutches her chai cup without spilling a single drop. Her recovery move is this powerful glare. A glare the source notes could curdle milk.
She is the immediate external judge of the Chowdhury's performance, and she's measuring it against these impossibly high social standards.
And Rajesh, being Rajesh, immediately tries to pull her into his narrative.
Of course he does.
He extends a dripping hand and welcomes her dramatically to water aerobics, Chowdhury edition. He's desperately seeking validation, or at least an audience, for his plumbing adventure.
But Auntie Meena refuses to play along. Her critique is just so sharp and immediate. She snorts at the splashing water and compares the entire scene unfavorably to her own son's dance moves.
And she describes her son, with maximum parental bias, as just flailing around like he's dodging invisible mosquitoes when he tries to dance.
So if that is the baseline for bad,
then the sync tsunami is an utter catastrophe.
and that's where the humor really lands for you, the listener, because Rajesh gives us this mock-whispered visual confirmation. Her son, attempting a two-step, truly does look like a giraffe on roller skates.
And this dynamic, Rajesh's dramatic antics providing endless material for Meena's superior critique, and Pooja just suppressing a knowing smile, that is the foundational data point for every community event we're about to analyze.
It's the 3-part harmony of their neighborhood: chaos, containment, and critique.
In this pattern, it immediately shifts from plumbing to food, which proves that Rajesh's chaos is not just persistent, it's highly contagious. It spills right out beyond their apartment door.
This is the transition into the initial food fiasco, the tiffin incident.
We shift scenes to Mr. Patel's local tiffin service, a business that is utterly centered on precision and predictability.
Mr. Patel is depicted as running the service with the absolute command of a 5-star general. He is all about order, routine, and ruthless efficiency.
And that rigid structure is why the resulting blunder is so funny. This military operation is immediately disrupted by the internal chaos of their assistant, Vikram.
Vikram is perpetually frazzled.
Always. When asked about the Chowdhury's tiffin, he just freezes, described as a deer caught in headlights. He's the first external victim of the Chowdhury ripple effect.
Their domestic disorder has officially contaminated the local food supply chain.
And the mess-up is a classic comedy trope, but with high stakes. Chowdhury's versus Sharmas. The sources detail a bewildered customer opening the wrong tiffin and just recoiling dramatically.
Grimacing at what he calls biryani from the Stone Age. It establishes that the chaos isn't contained to their apartment. It's an ecosystem problem.
Okay, cut back to the Chowdhury apartment. Rajesh has swaggered in earlier with his trophy tiffin, declaring it culinary perfection.
A move meant to placate Pooja after the whole plumbing incident?
Right. But Pooja is rightly suspicious. She knows Rajesh was supposed to cook dinner himself. Her suspicion is a key part of that containment mechanism.
And she forces a confession out of him. Rajesh sheepishly admits that his last attempt at home cooking resulted in the smoke alarm having a heart-to-heart with him.
Which involved flashing lights, piercing sirens, and neighbors checking for the source of the inferno.
So the tiffin is his apology gift. He's trying to buy his way out of his cooking failure.
But the purchased food turns out to be a greater, more psychedelic threat than his own cooking.
When Rajesh opens the container with this exaggerated theatrical flair, the dish inside isn't just food. It's glowing, faintly glowing.
A neon paneer pudding surprise that looked, and I'm quoting the source, more radioactive than edible.
Pooja doesn't even need to taste it to judge. She immediately questions if the ingredients passed through a black hole or were assembled on Mars.
It is the perfect visual representation of the culinary consequence of their chaos.
Uh,
Even when they outsource their meals, the Chowdhurys attract nutritional disasters.
and the ultimate absurdity is saved for the climax. Before Rajesh can invent some plausible origin story for this glowing pudding.
Vikram bursts into the apartment, hyperventilating.
And he confirms the massive mix-up. We sent dog food to the Sharmas by mistake.
So the Sharmas got the biryani from the Stone Age, which, based on the smell, was probably the dog food.
And Rajesh is eating what we assume is a highly experimental, glowing neon dessert. This is a truly profound level of food supply chain failure.
It is culinary anarchy. But the data point that closes this whole section, the true measure of their relationship, is Rajesh's final deadpan line.
So good.
When Vikram confirms the horrific dog food mix-up, Rajesh just looks down at his glowing paneer and simply says, that explains the unique aroma.
That line is just genius. It's the final acceptance of the absurd, an immediate pivot to humor. And the section ends by confirming that despite the near flooding, the dietary trauma, and the community gossip, the day ended, as always, with laughter.
The central insight is crystal clear. The chaos is not a bug in their relationship.
It's the primary operating feature. They are, as the writer Swapnil establishes, an unpredictable, hilarious, and oddly perfect team.
So if the everyday dynamic is established by these minor mishaps, Swapnil then shows us that major holidays just exponentially amplify the existing chaos.
They turn sacred traditions into cinematic disasters.
Exactly. Our next analysis focuses on Diwali, the Festival of Lights. It demands meticulous preparation and tradition, which makes it the absolute ideal stage for Rajesh's highly volatile brand of mayhem.
We start with Rajesh's determined mission, the Battle of the Besan Laddus. Now, for listeners who might not be familiar, Besan Laddus are these traditional spherical Indian sweets.
Made from chickpea flour and ghee-clarified butter, they require really careful, precise roasting and rolling.
The exact opposite of Rajesh's skill set, which is best suited for, controlled demolitions.
He is fueled by resolve this year, though. He stands amidst the early festive chaos, flour already smeared on him like battle paint, and he's brandishing this large spatula like it's Excalibur.
And he swears aloud, no more burnt offerings. He's fighting for his culinary reputation.
And the narrative immediately uses the past to elevate the stakes of the present. They reference this infamous, traumatic precedent, last year's Laddu debacle.
This wasn't just slightly burned batter. We're talking molten batter splattering across the kitchen like a meteor shower.
And the physical evidence of this trauma is still there. The fire department's number is still taped prominently to the fridge. It's a permanent fixture that basically symbolizes their domestic risk assessment strategy.
That detail, the taped fire department number, that's the source material's way of quantifying their inherent level of domestic instability.
But Rajesh's hubris this year, it's fueled by technology. He claims he has mastered the art by watching a slow-motion YouTube tutorial.
He's pausing and rewinding every critical step. This is his classic chaotic optimism. Technical, methodical preparation meeting inherent, insurmountable ineptitude.
It's the perfect setup for a disaster movie. And just as he begins his complicated preparations, Auntie Meena arrives, right on cue.
The physical manifestation of skepticism and judgmental perfection.
She breezes in, holding a box of Kaju Katli, a delicate cashew fudge-like. She's the queen of the dessert kingdom. She's bringing something demonstrably edible as a visible, delicious backup plan.
And she immediately challenges Rajesh's promise. He declares dramatically, if my laddus don't melt in your mouth, I'll quit cooking forever.
High-stakes drama for a simple sweet. And Auntie Meena's skeptical arched eyebrow tells the whole audience that his promise is entirely safe for everyone but Rajesh's pride.
The culinary escalation starts, not with controlled heat, But with the kitchen eruption, before Rajesh can even fix the first ingredients, the sources say the blender roars to life on its own.
It sends this massive plume of chickpea flour erupting like a snowstorm. Pooja, already weary, just wipes the flour off her nose
She delivers the perfect title for the event, Chef Blizzard.
and sarcastically declares, "Peak fluffiness achieved, Rajesh."
But the flour blizzard is just the appetizer for the real danger, the ghee mishap. Ghee, that clarified butter, it's delicious, but it's highly flammable when you mishandle it.
Rajesh has a slight ghee mishap. The jar tips over near the burner, and it ignites instantly. It erupts into a small, fiery mini volcano on the stove.
And this is where Pooja's reaction shifts entirely. She moves past dry humor to active enjoyment of the spectacle. She laughs, she ducks for cover, and she declares the situation ghee-larious.
Noting that he has officially made flammable his new aesthetic choice for Diwali decor.
This is such a critical insight into their dynamic. Pooja has moved past mere tolerance and into full-fledged theatrical appreciation of his failure.
Her laughter, in the face of a miniature grease fire, is the definitive measure of their relational strength and their acceptance of their joint fate as domestic fire hazard magnets.
And in his panicked retreat from the ghee volcano, we get the collateral damage, the Rangoli ruin.
Rajesh, now ghostly white with flour but stained yellow from the turmeric-tinged batter, stumbles backward right into Pooja's meticulously created, vibrant Rangoli masterpiece.
That traditional floor art made of colored powders for the festival.
And the destruction is just comprehensive and symbolic. He smears flour and dye across the artistic pattern, turning this beautiful, intricate design into what he perfectly terms the ghost of Diwali past.
A messy pastel abstraction. It shows how his chaos refuses to be contained to the kitchen. It ruins the artistic, traditional elements of the holiday, too.
Meanwhile, the external chaos is being managed at Vikram's tiffin service. Mr. Patel is still running his military operation, wielding a ladle like a baton.
But he's making some questionable culinary decisions for the community. He insists on serving this highly traditional, very potent chutney.
The one that, based on prior records, sent Mr. Sharma's taste buds into retirement last year.
So the entire community is bracing for digestive trauma alongside explosive decorations.
When the grand celebration arrives, Rajesh unveils his Besan ladoos, with the flair of a magician presenting a reluctant rabbit.
And the high stakes he set earlier are immediately paid off in disastrous fashion.
The scene just immediately devolves. The ladoos, despite the slow-motion YouTube tutorial, are hard. They're dense, sugary confections. They could probably stop bullets.
Definitely not melting in the mouth.
Vikram, despite his professional culinary background, manages only one bite before his stomach files for early retirement. It's a contest of sheer physical resilience, not appetite.
And this leads to the specific, hilarious detail that truly elevates the source material, the rogue laddu.
As the contest peaks, one of these incredibly dense ladoos, propelled either by an aggressive contestant or just simple structural instability, launches into the air.
It ricochets off a nearby wall and lands squarely in Auntie Meena's lap.
This moment turns the contest into an immediate laddu dodgeball match, with hard desserts flying and the entire room just erupting in laughter. It cements the idea that shared disaster is a powerful communal bonding agent.
The chaos reaches its grand peak with the fireworks fiasco.
Of course, Rajesh, armed with his sparklers and that same boundless, unearned optimism, lights a large rocket with supreme confidence.
And the result is entirely predictable, yet still side-splittingly funny. The fireworks sputters, it fizzles.
And then, instead of shooting upward into the night sky, it turns horizontally and shoots straight into the neighbor's yard.
Rajesh, completely unfazed, simply shrugs off the soot and announces it was unexpected.
And Pooja, maintaining her weary but loving deadpan authority, responds, "You. Unexpected, truly groundbreaking." Another Diwali catastrophe is filed away.
Messy, chaotic, and entirely unforgettable. The pattern is set.
If Diwali was analyzed by Swapnil as this destructive culinary performance, then Holi, the Festival of Colors, is characterized as full-scale strategic warfare.
The focus shifts entirely from food explosions to pure color, water, and aromatic conflict.
Often involving all three at the same time.
The level of preparation is intense. The Chowdhury apartment transforms into a holy war zone. We're talking buckets of colored powder, water balloons stacked everywhere.
And a smell that blends anticipation, sugary sweets, and just impending chaos. Rajesh is practically vibrating with excitement.
He declares it's full throttle. He's prepared enough gujias, those sweet fried dumplings, to sink a ship. He even makes a quick, doomed reference to the Titanic.
But Pooja immediately steps in as the historian of chaos, providing the necessary context. She reminds him very pointedly of last year's trauma
The great Gujia swamp that nearly flooded the living room with oil and dough.
and the enduring agony of the curry apocalypse.
The curry apocalypse is such a key data point for their shared history. It's why people still avoid them in the elevator.
Because of the lingering, pervasive biryani smell that somehow seeped into the very structure of the building.
The trauma of the past fuels Pooja's current weary skepticism. She knows exactly how far downhill this can go, and she's ready to record the data.
And that skepticism is immediately justified by the entry of the aesthetic antagonist, Auntie Meena, presenting the conflict of principles.
She bursts in, clutching her prized possession, her organic, non-toxic, eco-friendly colors.
She waves these packets like a flag of moral superiority, clearly trying to impose these sophisticated, safe standards on a disaster artist like Rajesh.
She's trying to protect the delicate natural order, specifically her beloved jasmine plants.
Which Rajesh immediately eyeballs as prime targets for biodiversity. But the true aromatic conflict arises with Rajesh's innovations.
This is where Swapnil excels with the sensory details.
Yeah.
Rajesh is cross-legged on the floor, stirring powders when he has this terrible yet genius moment.
He eyes the leftover curry powder from the previous evening's dinner.
And he immediately mixes it into the dye, creating Spicy Pink 2.0.
He rebrands the entire experience as Holy with a Kick. He genuinely believes he is a visionary, turning Gujia-scented orange and tikka-tinted teal into trend-setting colors.
He's added a layer of smell to the color war, moving from purely visual chaos to multisensory mayhem.
And the olfactory consequences are immediate and far-reaching. Auntie Meena storms in again, clutching her organic packets like precious jewels.
Complaining bitterly that her neighbors thought she was selling samosas because of the pervasive, pungent aroma coming from the Chowdhury apartment.
It's a violation of local air quality standards.
Rajesh naturally brushes this off with dark humor. He promises that by the end of the day, everyone will remember them, if only for the sneeze-inducing aroma.
He accepts the potential for community-wide sinus trauma as a necessary side effect of his art.
The setting shifts to the terrace battlefield for the Great Water Balloon Challenge. Rajesh is the self-declared general.
Organizing the contest for the prize of eternal glory.
Or, as Pooja dryly suggests, another round of his radioactive cooking, which is a far more likely outcome.
The tension builds with the arrival of the essential military support, Vikram. He swaggers in with a water gun that looks less like a toy and more like an action movie prop.
He proudly declares, "The cavalry has arrived."
And Rajesh immediately capitalizes on this new firepower. His first strategic command is ordering Vikram to aim for Auntie Meena's cherished roses, calling it hydration.
This is a clear, declared act of aggression against the delicate natural order that Auntie Meena represents. It escalates the conflict dramatically.
And the color war itself quickly descends into this beautiful, chaotic anarchy. Rajesh, armed with a bucket of bright purple, executes a flawless ambush, turning Vikram into a purple people eater.
Vikram groans dramatically, lamenting that he has been turned into a walking fruit salad.
Pooja, however, remains the master strategist. She proves that she can play the game just as well as he can. She gives Rajesh a sudden lesson in subtlety by flinging a perfectly aimed handful of yellow powder at his face,
Instantly turning him into a vibrant, moving, human rainbow. She doesn't need to prevent the chaos, she just needs to participate and make sure the outcome is visually stunning.
But the truly climactic moment, the moment of poetic justice, is Auntie Meena's spectacular accidental self-immolation.
Attempting to retaliate with her organic, non-toxic colors, she trips over a stray Gujia wrapper left over from the Gujia swamp trauma.
And the result is immediate and magnificent. She covers herself head to toe in her own expensive, eco-friendly dye.
Rajesh declares her a tie-dye experiment gone rogue, moving her from organic enthusiast to abstract art canvas in a single, aromatic, painful moment.
And Auntie Meena, the gossip ninja, immediately plots her villain origin story. Revenge is natural.
The source notes that she spends the rest of the day looking like a vaguely aromatic, multicolored traffic cone.
Blending the trauma of her sweater with the aromatic chaos of the curry powder.
The chaos is now complete, forcing even external observers to comment. Meera, the local artist, appears amid the fragrant carnage, surveying the madness.
She wisely decides she will stick to her canvas, which she notes is less aromatic and certainly less unpredictable.
The chaos of the Chowdhury household is literally too pungent and unpredictable for sophisticated artistic representation.
So having established these recurrent patterns of domestic, culinary, and community chaos, Swapnil then shifts focus to the core relationship.
And the crucial insight here is that Rajesh and Pooja celebrate their milestones not by avoiding the chaos.
But by fully embracing it, embracing the inevitable chaos that defines their life together.
Let's start with the birthday bonanza, what the source beautifully calls the pink apocalypse prelude.
Pooja, the primary planner, is immediately in battle mode. She's specifically battling Vikram over his terrible suggestions.
She explicitly vetoes his ideas, reminding him that the last time he planned a fun surprise, it nearly burned down a wedding tent.
The rule is firm. We are not doing the clown costume or any pyrotechnics.
Vikram is the constant accelerator of chaos. He just cannot exist without suggesting a new dangerous element.
But Auntie Meena remains the aesthetic antagonist. She arrives, a vision of enthusiastic disruption in a neon pink sari that glitters so intensely it has its own gravitational pull.
She brings an impending floral avalanche, which Pooja immediately has to combat, and immediately begins suggesting a pink revolution as a theme, much to Pooja's restrained horror.
And Pooja, through gritted teeth, reminds everyone that the last time Auntie Meena planned a party, the groom fainted under a literal floral avalanche.
The community is deeply scarred by Meena's past decor choices.
But the main event, the true centerpiece of any celebration, is always the cake. And this brings us to the great cake catastrophe of 2024.
Vikram is tasked with getting the cake, and he approaches the bakery like a monsoon. He demands a legendary unicorn supreme that screams forever young, but also whispers, "I'm totally okay with turning 30.
Maya, the poor bakery assistant, tries to salvage the request. She suggests a unicorn cake with a superhero cape, turning it into a dessert champion.
Vikram, predictably, rejects the professional advice, insisting on his own structurally disastrous vision.
The resulting cake duel is priceless. We see the build-up. Rajesh, making his grand entrance, immediately fulfills his destiny by stumbling backward and knocking over a prized vase.
An act he compares to a missile test. The party's baseline level of physical destruction is established before the first course is even served.
Then Vikram emerges with his pathetic creation, the unicorn that definitely didn't.
It is drooping, exhausted, structurally unsound. The horn is bent, the frosting sags. It looks like it survived a high-speed chase and just gave up on life.
Fortunately, Maya, the bakery assistant, saves the integrity of the party by producing her own sparkling, majestic version, the unicorn that could.
Which provides Pooja with the perfect deadpan title for the two desserts. The unicorn that could, and the unicorn that definitely didn't.
And that contrast illustrates that, in their world, even the most sincere efforts, like Vikram's, often result in hilarious, drooping failure.
The gifts maintain the high level of chaotic energy. Auntie Meena's offering is a hand-knitted sweater so bright, Pooja suspects it probably violated local traffic laws just by existing.
Rajesh declares it an official SOS signal for ships at sea. He just embraces the utter garishness as a badge of honor.
And the final sensory assault is, of course, Auntie Meena's pitchy karaoke performance. The source describes it as uniting the guests in shared auditory trauma,
proving that disaster is a powerful communal bonding agent that transcends taste and volume controls.
But the resolution provides the necessary emotional depth. Rajesh, surveying the wreckage, the bright sweater, the droopy cake, he genuinely embraces it.
He muses, "This is what 30 feels like. Equal parts chaos and comedy. I could get used to this."
That acceptance of comedy as his destiny is the definition of his life with Pooja.
And this leads us seamlessly to their ultimate relational celebration, the anniversary extravaganza. By this point, Pooja has clearly mastered the art of managing expectations.
She sets a new, very specific catering requirement. The service must not, under any circumstances, set the kitchen on fire.
She's recalling the infamous charred samosas disaster of an earlier milestone.
The absurdity is immediately amplified by the supporting cast. Auntie Meena suggests a superhero theme, which likely involves capes and more floral avalanches.
Vikram, meanwhile, shows up in full disco ball chic, explaining that he is saving his traffic cone attire, probably a tribute to Auntie Meena's sweater for a later, more tragic event.
The atmosphere is just thick with anticipation for inevitable chaos.
And the chaos is immediately provided by the Cake Crisis sequel. This time the cake doesn't droop, it gets stuck.
It's trapped in the elevator, mid-building, a prized artifact requiring, as Pooja sarcastically notes, therapy sessions for traumatized pastries.
Vikram immediately renames the trapped cake crisis as Cakeanon, adding a layer of conspiratorial humor.
Rajesh maintains the physical destruction streak. He enters and immediately knocks over a potted plant, instantly declaring the party a gardening disaster.
They don't even wait for him to fail anymore. They just expect it. But the ensuing laughter is the glue that binds this chaos together.
The scene moves to the dance-off, initiated by Vikram in his shiny disco attire. His movements are described as this wild blend of disco fever and martial arts defense maneuvers.
Rajesh perfectly dubs karate disco, complete with serious wax-on, wax-off vibes.
And crucially, Auntie Meena, despite her earlier trauma, joins in with this contagious enthusiasm, making the scene Dancing with the Stars bloopers edition.
This shows us the true heart of the community. Even the critic, Meena, cannot resist the infectious, unapologetic joy of the chaos. She's integrated into the pattern.
Amidst all this absurdity, we get the genuine, heartfelt moments that anchor the entire narrative.
The surprise arrival of Anjali, the childhood friend, rekindles old memories, including the infamous rolled-up regrets sushi incident, another shared culinary trauma.
This community is bonded by these shared, hilarious failures.
Then we have the gifts, which symbolize their deep, affectionate acceptance of Rajesh's inherent nature. Pooja gives Rajesh a pair of cartoon cat socks.
Describing them as perfect, like our relationship, she suggests they are ideal for when he catnaps on the couch, acknowledging his laid-back, chaotic domestic style.
It's a simple, silly gift, but it's a powerful symbol of acceptance. She isn't trying to change his laid-back nature. She's supplying him with the appropriate accessories.
Vikram, naturally, declares this the start of the sock cheek for the modern man trend idea.
And Rajesh, holding Pooja's hand amidst the flashing lights and the karate disco, delivers his ultimate realization. This is the emotional core of the deep dive.
He says, "This chaos, this laughter, it's our life, and I wouldn't change it for anything. You're my favorite partner in chaos."
He embraces his destiny and confirms Pooja's role as his essential counterweight.
The night concludes with the final, absolutely perfect disaster. The cake is finally rescued from the elevator.
But Vikram, in his excitement, tilts it, creating a lopsided, distorted masterpiece of chaos.
It's the perfect metaphor for their entire life. A beautiful, loving intention, immediately marred by an inevitable accident, yet still hilarious and satisfying.
And during the final toast, where Pooja celebrates their delicious disasters, Vikram, with impeccable ruinous timing, knocks over a slice of the ruined cake,
Cementing the pattern one last time with shared laughter.
The sources conclude with Pooja and Rajesh just surveying the wreckage-littered water balloons, a crooked banner, the remnants of the abstract art cake. It's a chaotic scene, but their hearts are full.
And Pooja declares, let's keep the tradition of beautiful chaos alive. It's a commitment, a vow to prioritize laughter over impossible perfection. #tag outro. What the writer Swapnil's incredibly high-energy cinematic vignettes truly provide us with is it's a masterclass in relational resilience. We've analyzed the structure of their life.
And the key takeaway is that the neon pudding, the rogue ladus, the constant fire alarms, and the exploding vases, they're not external interruptions to their stability.
They are the essential, necessary ingredients of their profound joy and their stability.
That is the core intellectual insight. The aha moment isn't that they endure chaos, it's that they have mastered the art of anticipation and laughter.
They operate as an unpredictable, hilarious, and oddly perfect team.
And they define their deep affection through their shared ability to pivot and just laugh at every single catastrophe, no matter how aromatic or flammable it is.
It's a deep dive into the practical application of affection and humor. They've created this psychological safe space where failure is always entertaining and disaster is just material for a great story at the next party.
They learn to control their environment by fully accepting the one thing they cannot control. Rajesh.
And that's the connection back to you, the listener. We are all often striving for, calm, flawless perfection in our relationships, our homes, and our work lives.
But these sources, these data points from the Chowdhury's lives, they show us that sometimes the most deeply memorable, the most cherished moments, the ones that truly fortify your bonds, are the messy, imperfect ones.
The ones that smell vaguely of biryani, curry powder, and soot.
They show us that the true strength of a relationship isn't measured by how few crises you have, but by how loud you laugh during them.
They've defined their life as a series of delicious disasters, and they wouldn't trade it.
We've seen that for Rajesh and Pooja, laughter is their best ingredient. It's their most reliable fire extinguisher and their most effective duct tape. So the question for you as you reflect on your own life's essential ingredients is this. What is the one necessary disaster, that specific hilarious failure, that you wouldn't trade for a moment of calm, predictable perfection?
Something to think about until our next deep dive.